is a test of the emergency broadcast system.
This is only a test.
DJs in MC. This DJ, he gets down.
Listen to this jockey's introduction to
Two DJs in a mic with your host, DJ Mike.
Is that a timetable?
And DJ JP.
Well, get on it. It's your time.
Give me the mic.
Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Two DJs in One Mic. We're blessed to have the Throwback brothers in the house, the great John Hanna, a man with so much music stored in that cranium. How you doing, John?
Doing great.
Yes.
Hey, Mike, good to see you again. I enjoyed our time in Milwaukee, and I'm very happy to be back.
Oh, yeah, me as well. We had so much fun in Milwaukee talking about, just music and different, beats that just really did something strange to us. Mm-hmm. We could have just disappeared and left the conference and carried on with that conversation.
Yes.
And locked ourselves up for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep, it was really good. A great conversation, great times, we really had a good time.
And that's what brings about this interview today. Or I'm not going to even say an interview. This is more of just a talk.
An intimate conversation.
Yes, an intimate conversation about music.
There you go.
But before we go any farther, we want to allow you to just tell the people about yourself. How did the Throwback Brothers, how did the name come about, what you do, why you do it, and all of that good stuff before we really dive into what we want to talk about?
Well, I've been a DJ 44 years now. I first began playing in 1981. It was the first job I had out of high school. And early on in the 80s, I went to audio engineering school and learned how to edit the old-fashioned way, which was with a razor blade and what's called a chopping block and tape, and quarter-inch reel-to-reel, and worked in recording studios during the day and DJ'd at night all throughout the 80s. And the 80s were good. The 80s were a good time, man.
It was.
And continued, and in shortly after 2010. I got together with a DJ who I'd known for years named Chris Palermo, who goes by DJ Magic. And the whole idea was to be something like Disco Fries are right now, or Purple Disco Machine, is to bring back the sound and the groove of old time and play live shows and do stuff like that. And okay. So Throwback Brothers started as a team, and Chris had a multi-op, and he got more and more successful, and then COVID happened, and we just didn't play. And I picked up the editing thing again during COVID and got better at it. Back in the early 2010s, I had it was called Sony Acid. That was the program we used. It was a cousin of FL Loops, and really brought editing into the digital age and got better and better. And the edits caught some traction. And it's funny, we started out as a team, and it never really intended not to be a team, but Chris's multi-op got really successful. My edits began to get traction, and we just kind of started doing our own thing. Mm-hmm. I still talk to the guy all the time, and he's one of the best DJs I've ever heard. We'll be working together, and he'll pull something off, and in the back of my mind, I'll be like, "Damn, why didn't I?" that was just shit. I wish I thought of that. He's that kind of talent. So I have the greatest respect for him, and he, now he's, working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He's still doing his thing, and but Throwback Brothers literally has become the editing and the remixing brand that has, for me, gain some notoriety and some traction. And I got to tell you, it's a joy to resurrect and bring back some of the old songs that were so good and that deserve attention.
So, yep. So when you do those songs, how do you pick a song? How do you decide what you're gonna do?
So my end user is different than a typical end user. So a lot of record pools, mine included, will have people that do mashups and other things of new music. And the guys in my pool are immensely talented. And you'll hear their stuff played in clubs and big clubs and other things like that. And my go-to end user was always a DJ who was playing a wedding on Sunday in a church basement in Oshkosh.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wanted to be able to play a new song and a classic old song and a new song without having that sonic drop, without having that, hey, there's no kick drum, there's no bass really in the song. I wanted those guys to be able to play the classics when they were doing weddings and doing, smaller jobs. So the target customer was always a DJ that wanted to play old stuff, but didn't have stuff that was sonically compatible with his new stuff.
Okay.
And that was the whole idea behind doing stuff with Thump and Smack.
Thump and Smack. That's what you call it. Thump and Smack, huh? So, all right, let's jump into these questions, Mike. Where do you want to go with the great John over there?
Well, I have a question for both of you guys. Because when we sit down, we just talked about music and some of those songs that really just did something to us. And, me and Jeff had the opportunity a time ago to just talk about beats. And, we took away the lyrics, just the beats, the music. And when you think back to the 70s, what was that one song? And I know it may be many, but what was that one song that when you heard it, whether it was the first or second time, it just really did something to you?
So does it have to be one song, or does
it? We don't have any rules. You can give me as many as you want.
The first one so we're going back to the 70s. I would say the first one that really was Daz. Because Daz starts out with that drum, ba boom, and it's just an open hi-hat.
Oh yeah.
And I remember hearing Daz going like, "You can't not dance to this. You can't. This is." And you know what? I don't remember if More Bounce to the Ounce was 80s or 70s, but the first time I heard Zap and heard that, that slowed down snare sample that they use, and a term that mixers will use is lean back or lean forward. Lean back is between the downbeats, all the stuff is just a little behind in tempo.
Mm-hmm.
And when you listen to a Zap song, it's way behind in tempo, but it makes you go like, more bounce. It makes you do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those are two songs that pop right into my mind is Daz by Brick and More Bounce to the Ounce by Zapp and Roger.
Okay.
What about yourself, young Jeffrey?
Oh man, one of my favorites, and like I said, I don't know if it's 90s, but one that always sticks with me is Knee Deep. You know how much I love that song. I'm a Clinton Funk kind of guy, man.
Okay.
Nothing but knee deep. She was only knee deep when she did the freak with me.
So for me, and I can't think from the 70s, and I think this wasn't the 70s. It was like at the tail end, maybe.
Okay.
And it was Bill Summers in One Way, and it was "Don't Fight the Feeling."
Oh, okay. Man, we had so many classics. The Box.
But I know when I heard "Don't Fight the Feeling," and just that beat with that guitar, it did something to me. And I listened to it over and over and over again. And another one that did it for me, and this is man, this is crazy. This is more in the 80s, so I'll come back to that. I'll go back into the 70s and knowing it was Donna Summers. What was that one?
Beat wise?
You mean I Feel Love?
I
Because
don't want to feel this way.
Oh, is that the name of it?
I'm trying to think. Puff sample.
I don't want to. It's not. I don't want to get hurt, right?
Where's the one which said, "I love you"? That's something similar to that. What is that?
so that's Love to Love You, Baby.
Love to love you,
Yeah,
baby.
Love to Love You,
Yes,
Baby.
that. When I heard that and just hearing the melody and how everything came together, it was great for me.
I tell you what, the first time I heard I just said it and it popped right out of my head. The Donna Summer song she did with Giorgio Moroder, that was the first use of a sequencer, the of I Feel Love. And I remember listening to it going, how did a human being play those keys that fast and that accurately and that perfect? And man, on a big system, like on a big 80s system, to hear that song in a New York City club like 1018 which became Roxy, was just thunderous. It just moved you. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just been so many great classic beats, man. And before Mike jumps into another decade, so how do you select the songs that you're gonna do? Do you just listen to something and say, okay, I want to do something, or do you take requests and people send it in and ask you what to do?
People will occasionally hit me up on Instagram and say, hey, I haven't heard any Kool and the Gang in a while, or I could really use this, or I could really use that. And that's kind of actually refreshing to get feedback from other DJs and say, hey, I'd love it if this was more usable, more accessible, more mixable. If I could have a shortened version of this. And I'll usually try to accommodate them. But again, what I'm trying to do is make usable tools, is make tools to drive the dance floor for the guy that's playing a party of 60 people or something like that, or the guy that's playing in a bar and it's Throwback Thursday at Joe's Bar, and give him usable tools that he can mix into, mix out of, and that also have modern sonics that sound good and thump.
Oh, okay.
So jumping right into the 80s.
Here we go now.
Yes, jumping into the 80s, because I kind of dabbled in there. In the 80s, we still had some funk, some punk rock, and rap started to really, grab a hold of everything toward, I would say, the mid 80s. What was some of the songs? Well, what was that first hip hop song that you heard that really did it for you?
Well, Rapper's Delight was around when I started.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a short version then. There was the whole 14-minute McGilla back then. And that was still the era of the rap where you were just basically bragging, where you were, doing your thing. The first thing that made me stand back and go, whoa, was when Run DMC's breakout was It's Like That. And I remember hearing that going, wow, this is really, really different. And then Run DMC did a song called Beats to the Rhyme that is really hits real hard.
One of my favorites.
People don't give them enough credit for being the people that, really took rap up to another level in 81, 82, 83. But that era, oh gosh, the music of that era, because in the early 80s, you still had the very tail end of disco. So you still had the big three of Donna Summer and of Casey and the Sunshine Band and the Bee Gees, and they were still they were still resonating in 81 and 82.
Yeah, they were hitting hard still.
You know, and then comes Michael and Madonna. And you know, and you know, Madonna's first stuff was super, super poppy, but extremely hooky.
Yeah.
And, you know, and her 116, 118 songs, I played those for years. They sat in my, you know, the crate up sideways for years. and Michael's Off the Wall was big.
Yeah.
But Thriller was just transcendent. Thriller was everywhere, man.
Yeah.
And you know, between all those superstars that I just mentioned were 100 of these beautiful little songs. Like there was a label in New York called Prelude, and all the stuff on Prelude was, you know, Secret Weapon, Must Be the Music, and Dynamite Dancing by Empress, and you know, Body Music by the Strikers. Just fantastic stuff.
Yep. And then Todd said that I Feel Love is still playable to this day.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Classic. Yeah. There's so many songs like that too, man. But there's just so many beats, man. So many songs.
What was it for you in the 80s?
Oh man, hip hop, man. You know,
what hip hop song when you heard it?
Man, Rapper's Delight. You know that 14-minute. It just did.
It was. I liked Rapper's Delight, but it was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. When I heard The Message, that was something.
I hate to say those still don't. That didn't do nothing for me. Rapper's Delight was it for me.
I like Rapper's Delight, but I'm just saying The Message and It's Nasty, you know, those were like, man.
But and then came White Lines, and he became monstrous.
Oh yes. And there's a favorite that I have. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you can look it up. I know Jeff is going. It's by Wolf Ticket.
Yeah.
The song is called Your Mama.
Yeah. Oh, Your Mama. Yep.
Oh, see, he can appreciate that.
Okay.
And that was back in the early 80s. That beat was, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God.
Has it been sampled?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
That should tell you something right there.
Oh no. If it hasn't been sampled, it's because they slept on it.
Yeah.
Nice drop.
Really?
Yeah.
Some people you gotta dismantle them. You gotta take their hand.
That's fine. I just never heard that song, and
I'm just saying it was a nice song.
And Todd's running them down over here. Freaks come out at night. No parking on the dance.
Houdini was fantastic, man.
Yeah, Midnight Star, man. They had. I hate some of those groups that broke up, man. Just think about some of if they'd have stayed around for 10, 15 years, what they could have did. I mean, I know they out redoing, living their old hits, but just think if greed wouldn't have got in the way and the leader wants to go solo, like Jeffrey Osborne or Walter and Clyde and all them guys getting into it, Commodores.
Now you can kind of divide the 80s in half.
Okay. Okay.
So if you look at the beginning of the 80s, natural drummers, natural, human instruments and everything like that, till about 84, 85. And then think about the first time you heard Shannon let the music play and went,
electric drums.
And
drum machines.
The producers were named Liggett and Barbosa, and they were on fire for a couple years.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorites.
And it was kind of that drum from 85, 86. It was drum machines and synthesizers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just some great dance tracks back in those days. I mean,
loose ends, when they came, even SOS Band.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Because when I heard that, what is that? What is the favorite? Mm-hmm.
Just Be Good to Me. Or
Just Be Good to Me.
Take your time. Do it tonight.
No, it's just be no, not Take Your Time. Just Be Good to Me. When that beat I'm talking about when you hear that entire song.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That was I probably that tape is probably on fire somewhere still. That cassette tape.
I'm thinking about songs from the era you guys are talking about that if I drop them now, if I
Uh-huh.
played a party next week, so and I'll throw some out and you throw some out if you don't
Okay.
mind. So I'm thinking if I played either Super Freak or Give It to Me Baby by Rick James now,
Yeah.
there would be 20 and 30-year-old people singing the lyrics.
Oh
who
yeah.
are,
Yeah.
who are generationally 30 and 40 years removed from when the song was released, but they know it.
Yeah,
You know,
like I'll get a request for Super Freak from time to time at my weddings, and with this young lady I got this week, that may be one I drop in just for giggles and grins.
if
that's a good one.
every now and then I'll play a prom with Chris with the other Throwback brother,
Uh-huh.
and we will play "It's Tricky" by Run DMC.
That's a wedding classic here.
I don't know how, but the kids know every word of the song.
I mean, I do one school, and they don't stop believing. Living on a Prayer, Bum's Rhapsody, all of them. All the class. Because one teacher came up to me, hey, play. I'm like, these are 14, 15-year-olds. Oh no, they knew every word to every song. So I was like, it's refreshing to see kids that really like. But Todd said it's TikTok, so it's refreshing for them to be able, to come back and get some of the classics with us.
Oh, TikTok has given life to, I mean, Patrice Rushen, Forget Me Nots.
Oh yes.
TikTok brought it back.
Forget Me Nots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was another one of my favorites. Yeah. And are they remixing them or are they just using them to make videos with?
They're just speeding them up and using them to make tiny little videos. But the common theme of all the TikTok is that the songs are so good that even in the short format of TikTok, they still stand out and grab you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about Forget Me Nots. As soon as you hear that double clap, you know what song it is.
Yep.
Yep, you sure do. I mean, but that's the thing of DJs, and I guess if you're a really music head, you can hear the intro and know exactly what a song is. So, Yep.
Man, it's this.
It's so many.
Yeah, because I'm still kind of thinking about the 80s, and I agree with John how you can divide it up.
Yeah.
And even with the hip hop, there's that it changed right after the mid 80s. The drum machines changed again, and I never forget. And you're right about Run DMC. They don't get enough. They don't get enough credit for some of the things that they did
for pushing boundaries. Yeah.
Yes, because think about. Are you familiar with "Together Forever"?
The Rick Astley song?
No, Run DMC.
Nope.
Oh my God, you got to go back and listen to it.
Okay.
"Together Forever." That beat and the way that they did it, it changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
That made it. They allowed the creation of what was the Beastie Boys song?
There's several.
New Style at the end. When New Style, when they drop and that bass go.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That Together Forever helped that to be created.
Okay.
So it would seem like it came all.
I will most definitely check that out.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying.
That's all Rick Rubin stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
but
really,
MC, whoever made the music, the things that they did, they really pushed the envelope. And like I say, one of my greatest songs by them is Daryl and Joe, and that was like a hip hop symphony. So when you listen to the last 3 minutes of that song, where it's only instrumentals, and you hear Jam Master Jay doing his thing and how they put everything together, beautiful thing. Beautiful.
Was that Dum Diddy Dum Diddy Diddy Dum Dum?
Nope.
No,
that's not that. Daryl and Joe is it didn't get a lot of play, but it's a hit. It's a musical masterpiece. And And when you hear that versus beats to the rhyme, you might
Mhm.
change your mind.
Okay, I will check that out.
Yes.
So if you wanted to like, here's a good illustration of the 80s, that in the beginning of the 80s, Rapper's Delight represented what rap was. Then
Mhm.
after 85, 86, think of Jam On It. And Jam On It represented where rap was at.
Mm.
It was beatbox driven. It was, you know,
Yes.
that bass line, dum, 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 was all synthesizers.
Dum, 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 dum.
Yes. And that wiki.
Damn, wiki, wiki, wiki.
Have you done any of those songs? Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
done-
Yeah, that's because again, the what I'm trying to do, I love the music and I want to resurrect the music, but it's to make usable tools. So
Uh-huh.
Jam On It, you couldn't get into because it had no 8-bar intro.
Mhm.
And that's a question of just putting 8 bars at the beginning and 8 bars at the end where a DJ could get in and out of it, and then giving them the full song, a 3-minute version, and a like just about a 2-minute version called a super short. So even if they wanted to just play 2 verses and get out, they could. And you know, it's three more tools in the toolbox that you can use then.
Yeah.
Man. He's Toby Keats said a good one. Are y'all familiar with Space Cowboy?
I'm sure I've heard it. I just don't remember it.
I remember.
Yeah, Space Cowboy.
Yeah, it's a nice song. It has it kind of sounds like Midnight Star, Atlantic Star. It has, you know, that the same type of feel. It's a nice song.
Okay. The Space Cowboy.
Yeah, it's a nice. Check it out. 80s. It's back in the 80s.
Well, it's,
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's so
so
much.
many classics though,
Yeah.
man. And just beats and songs that you could just do stuff with and change around. And Stems now gives you a lot of that, but you're doing it totally different. You're really going back in there and laying it and doing stuff and cutting it and giving you 8 beats and all that good stuff. Like you were telling us about the Donna Summer, where you took the end of the song and put it in the front of the song so you would have a good intro.
So on this week on Direct Music Services, the platform that I post on,
Mm-hmm.
and I am very fortunate to be on the platform with the other talented people that are there. And it's kind of like if a guy was think about this, if a guy was a painter his whole life, and then at the very end of his painting career, somebody said, "Hey, I love what you do. I'd love to put you in a gallery," and they put you in a gallery, and suddenly, you know, everybody sees the paintings and buys. That's what happened to me in terms of editing and remixing, that I'd been doing it forever. And it just started to gain traction. And when DMS made the call and picked me up, it multiplied my audience by numbers I can't. I mean, I've been to different countries and heard my stuff. It's just,
I bet that's pretty cool.
It boggles my mind, man.
Yeah, and I remember you told us when we were up there, you said you walked by somewhere, or you're walking down the street or something, you'll hear one of your songs. Or
Yep, I was in. So there's a really nice area in Aruba called Paseo Horense, where all the restaurants are lined up, and they have DJs outside playing to the people that are walking by to kind of make you stop and get your groove and say, "I want to go in here." And I walked by and I heard a guy drop my edit of "Get Up Off That Thing" by James Brown. Right? And I stopped and I'm like, wait.
You bet.
Wait. Right? And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "That's mine. I know that sound." I walked up to the DJ and sure enough, and that was one of those things that was just too cool. You know, that starting here in New York at the little studio behind me, that flew across an ocean and is a usable tool to somebody is the greatest validation you can ever think of.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, Todd. I mean, not Todd. I'm sorry, John. I'm thinking about Todd.
Right. He's all over it.
When you heard Art of Noise beatbox for
Yeah.
the first time,
Look at him light up.
What did that do to you?
Well, it's funny. I heard it in a different way than everybody else. So I worked in studios in the 80s, and this was just at the beginning of the sampler, of when a sampler could take a sound, record it, and accurately play it again and again and again. And the sampler that was most popular and really expensive was called a Fairlight. And when I heard the boom, Chic, I could hear that was a Fairlight. You know that? And I remember hearing that going, oh man, that sounds good. Because the kick had support. And that was just different. That was just really, really, really cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that whole song to me was just like break after break after break. And at the end, when I heard the bubbling, oh man, that just did something to me. I would go to the end and keep listening to the end of the song over and over again.
But think about this. So remember the Adventures of Grandmaster Flash?
Uh-huh.
So that was him taking breaks of records and stringing them together on turntables and creating that flow with turntables. So some British producer, I think it was Trevor Horn, goes, wait a minute, I like that idea. Let's just use samples and do it ourselves. And that's what made Art of Noise, that particular record, so darn cool.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So do you do a lot of foreign stuff? Do you
you know what's I have a little sign taped in the corner that says stay in your lane, and it's there to remind me that the reason that people heard me and liked me and used my stuff was that I gave them usable tools that they could play and that their audience would recognize and enjoy. I mean, one of the bedrock things I try to do is keep structure intact. Okay. So if you're a 60-year-old male dancing at a party somewhere and you're singing along with the song, that you know how things go and you can sing along with it and feel comfortable. And like there's a are you familiar with Black and Crown? So Black and Crown does remixes where they will take a hook and repeat it over and over again, and they've found great success in doing that. And that's their lane. And my lane is to make sure that if you're dancing to my stuff, that it is familiar and comfortable and fun. So I'm going to keep the structure as close to the same as I can while giving you an intro and an outro and making a thump and smack.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I'm just saying, are there any songs that you've messed with, like some craft work or anything like that? Have you done any of those and changed? Because some of those have some funky intros too, like Numbers, Eats, Bleats, and all that crap.
Some, but again, if I'm thinking about the person who's going to play my stuff and appreciate my stuff and say, oh man, that's great, he did Kool and the Gang, it's fresh, and I can play that because it is a playable top 40 80s song.
Oh, okay.
That's what I want to do, because I want to give the guy, and what I don't want to do is is post a bunch of stuff where people go, what is this? I've never heard this before. It's so out of the ordinary that I wouldn't play it. So that's why the stay in the lane sign is up, and it reminds me to give my end users, give the DJs that play my stuff, things that they can put out on their parties where people will recognize it and enjoy it.
I get it. I understand now. Yeah. So you want stuff that can be for everybody, not just things a DJ might want to hear that me and Mike like your mama. And other stuff that Mike comes up with that just nobody else has ever heard of.
And that's one of the, honestly, when I sit there every week and go, okay, what am I going to do this week? Because that's one of the challenges of doing what I do, that you've got to put out top-notch good stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you want it to go on and chart well on DMS, and then you've got to do it again next week and do it again next week.
Oh, so you drop a song every week?
I drop. Usually groups of 6 to 10 every 2 weeks.
Oh, every 2 weeks. Have you touched this one?
What's that?
It's not a usable tool. Rapping Duke.
Daha.
It's funny how we remember songs. Daha.
And think about the there was a callback to that in Biggie's song. Remember Rapping Duke Daha. Think of how we've come that far. Oh gosh, I remember that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So have you touched any of Biggie stuff or anything like that in the 90s? Any 90s hip hop or anything?
No. A lot of stuff, there's certain things that stand on their own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you drop Hypnotize and that bass goes boom, 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 there's no way to improve that. There's no way to make that better. There's no way to, I don't want to mess with that. I mean, and it's funny, there's certain songs that are New York touchstone songs that I'll talk to my other DJ friends and I'll go, I'm thinking about doing this. And they'll go, no, don't touch that. There's a song called Love Is the Message that was a garage song. The Garage was a hugely influential nightclub in the city in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my friend Marlon, who, God rest his soul now, has passed. But I'm like, Marlon, what's the best part of Music Is the Message so I could do a little? And he goes, no, you're not going to do that. I said, no, tell me the 2 minutes or 3 minutes. He goes, you're not going to touch it. And he basically said, you will not mess with this song because it's long. It is. And Larry Levan was a DJ in the Garage and was famous for playing the song, letting it play to the last groove, picking up the needle, going, beep, and starting it again. And just doing that. And,
wow. How long was this song?
You know what? I'd have to Google it, but I think it was 14 minutes.
Oh, boy. Wow. But no, it was different then. We would dance to a 14-minute song.
Sounds like a friend of mine.
Yeah.
You would grab Trouble Funk in all 16 minutes.
So I guess you haven't messed with any of that either. Trouble Funk.
No. And that's it's funny how you got good friends that keep you pointed in the right direction and that serve as guardrails and that and
I mean, you're not changing them, you're just adding something to them.
Yeah, and for me, the song that I let you hear that we were talking about, Don't Touch That Stereo. For Don't Touch That Stereo, the way that it starts, it's hard to grab it at the beginning and mix it. It needs something on the front end of it. And the song is it was before its time. When they dropped that beat, said, I don't care where you were at. You didn't touch that stereo. You're gonna dance the entire time.
What was the group's name? Don't Touch That Stereo by
Trouble Funk.
By Trouble Funk. Okay.
We give you permission. We don't care. You can touch anything in the library we ask for.
Yeah. And this song that Toby posted up is one of my favorite songs, Pictures on the Screen by Comatine.
Nice.
Great song. Love it. I can play it every day of the week.
Don't touch it though.
You bring it up.
It's one of those songs. Just listening to what John is saying, it's one of those songs that it's kind of really hard to touch because it gives you everything that you need. It has a natural intro to it, and it breaks. It does everything. The only thing you'll be able to do with something like that is like what you did with the Diana Ross song. You pull something out and just give, just change something and accentuate something at the beginning versus.
I want an on ramp and an off ramp.
Yes.
But still make it so that if somebody hears it and can sing the words, feel comfortable,
Yes. And I really like that idea because that kind of goes away from some of the things that we hear where you hear something in that first 8 to 16 to 32 counts, you don't know what the hell it is. And then it just pops in with the original. It's like, man, I don't even touch those because I like to, when I'm mixing a song in, I want them to hear it and know what it is. And I like that build up. But if I drop something and they don't know what the hell the beat is, they can't even recognize that. And then all of a sudden, Thriller. It's like, where did that come from?
Wow.
You brought up long songs a while ago.
Oh boy.
So there's a song called "The Breaks" by Kathmandu
Mhm.
that I believe the intro alone was 8.5 minutes, and it was if you had to use the bathroom, you played that. That was a go to the bathroom song because you could get back before the song really started.
Yeah, you can go to the bathroom, go get you a cup of water, make a sandwich. Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
back.
gosh.
Walk back to the DJ booth with your plate.
Gee,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how long was it? 6 minutes?
He said 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
I
Yeah.
believe the Breaks by Kathmandu and At Midnight by T Connection both had
Yeah, remember T
incredibly,
Connection.
incredibly long intros.
White
Just-
Horse. That was a good one. Yeah. White Horse. And he dropped another one. Egyptian Lover was a good one.
So, but some of those, you don't have to mess with those.
Well, no, I'm just saying they're good songs.
Yeah,
though.
good
I'm just
songs.
saying when I hear those beats in the song itself, it was revolutionary. And I remember, are you familiar with what is this? I Need a Freak.
I need a freak.
Are you not familiar? Oh God, you got to go listen to that. I Need a Freak. And that was in the beat. God, that beat was nasty. It was one of those beats.
It's a TikTok song.
It was one of those beats that back then when they were starting to have the cars with all of the sounds, it was
Right.
one of those songs that they used.
So it's been sampled again and again and again.
I'm pretty sure. I think Too Short sampled that one too. But it has a nice beat to it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I Need a Freak. Who was that guy? What was the artist's name? I'll look it up. But
Yeah.
it was a nice song. It had a great beat to it. It was very simple. It was nothing complex about it, but it kept you engaged.
Now, when you sent me the topic for tonight's discussion, and I was thinking about, okay, John, think about the 90s. And all I remember about it was that I missed the 80s. Do you know that?
But that's horrible because the 90s has turned out to be one of the best eras.
Well, for certain things, I'll give you that.
Yes.
That if you think about like R&B and stuff like that, and TLC came about and other things like that, but the monstrous, massive success of the Madonnas and the Michaels and the stuff like that, I just missed it. That there wasn't that huge transcendent song. There seemed to be hits here and there, and boy bands, you could
Yeah.
take it or kind of leave it.
That makes me ask this question to both of you guys. Because that's the first time I've heard it like that, John. So if there is a choice, and I'm pretty sure I already know what yours is, John. If there is a choice that you can dial back the 80s or 90s, which one would you dial back to?
God, being a DJ in the 80s was just different. And I don't want to sound like one of those, grandpa, back in the day, we did this shit.
Hey, Johnny.
I don't want to sound like that, but I need people to get that it was far harder to succeed as a DJ then. Because now if like when pre-show, when we discussed the new Mariah Carey, you were able to go grab it in 30 seconds. Then you had to physically obtain music. It meant driving to the Bronx, going to the record pool, and then driving into Manhattan to Vinyl Mania or Rock and Soul and physically getting it every week.
Wow.
And like if you went into Vinyl Mania and Manny didn't like you'd be like, Manny, what's hot this week? Nothing. And other guys would walk in and he'd hand them like 10 records. You'd be like, wait, what? Wait, you know? So you had to have a network of people in the business to even get songs.
So being in New York, you didn't belong to a record pool, or you didn't have any
I did. It was
label connections?
It was called Shure, SURE, and it was funny. Only in retrospect did I realize, like Rick Rubin was a member of Shure. Africa Bambaataa was a member of Shure. Guys they called the dynamic duo, Tommy Musto and Tom Musto.
So Rick Rubin used to DJ, or he just got it to listen to?
Guys, Rick Rubin started his. That's what got him into music. He was a DJ at Danceteria.
Oh wow!
And you want to talk about a smart guy, like another YouTuber named Rick Beato did this 1.5-hour interview with Rick Rubin a year ago. And I must have watched it 10 times because Rick Rubin sits and lays out the history of New York dance music from like 83 on. And it's fascinating, man. And when Rick Rubin had said that when he listened to the rap songs that producers made, they sounded canned and they sounded not immediate and they sounded like studio records. And he wanted to make records that sounded like when he went into a club and heard a rapper go live. Like there's certain overdrive to it. They make mistakes when they're live and stuff like that. And if you listen to Rick Rubin's early productions, they sound live and they have the immediacy and the energy. And man, talk about a guy that just has worked with the best of the best of the best. And I've got so much respect for Rick Rubin as a music guy, but he started as a DJ in Danceteria, and that was one of his things. And look where he is today, man, living in Malibu.
What is this clown talking about?
So going back to my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can dial back to the
Okay.
80s or 90s, which one would it be?
So to use a personal example, if I go back to say 82, 83, when I'm just making my bones and I'm just really figuring it out, and the guys who are really good DJs are going, come here, this is how you do it. So in New York, the drinking age is 18. So my clubs are filled with 18, 19, and 20-year-olds who are half lit drinking, half a drink and dancing to some of the best music that you ever heard, played on vinyl through monstrous 4-way systems. And like you guys know as DJs, there's certain times when you stack certain things and you manipulate the energy level to the point where it's supposed to be that you'll just get this happy chill, like, fuck, that was good. And man, that happened so often during the 80s because you had these tools in the toolbox that you had the Michael stuff and the Madonna stuff, and you could go back to all the past disco stuff. And being a DJ then was more difficult, but it was supremely rewarding because it was hard to do, man. It was there was no, don't say there was no sync. Don't do it, John.
Say it.
Say it, John.
Say it.
Don't say that, John.
Say it.
I'll say it like this. The sync was this. The sync was, okay, I've got a 118 playing and the next song's a 120. I'm going to pitch it down to 119, but I'm going to very gently lay my middle finger on the platter and hold the platter back. And I'm going to crab the Bozak like this. And I'm going to start the mix. And just before 7, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to do this and let the platter go, and it will speed up, and you'll get this tiny little energy thump by doing that.
Wow.
And dude, if you were good at it, it was just this beautiful thing. And man, oh man, if I could get into a time machine and go back to one night to do that again, oh boy. So yeah, the 80s.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, I want to argue with you on one point too. It didn't stop being easy to get music in the 90s either. It was still hard to get music.
True. Even in the digital age, when it began with CDs, you still had to physically obtain the music.
Yeah. So it wasn't easy then either, because I know, because I was overseas in Turkey, and you talking about hard to get music, man. I had like 3 record pools, so I was always waiting for that big box of records to come every day because I was over there to 92. So, and even when I got back to the States and living in Wichita Falls, we had one little tiny record store, so I used to have to write my brothers or write different people. But music was tough to get in the 90s still. I mean, but no, I don't know where I would definitely go back to the 90s because that was my prime. So that's when I hit my stride and just a club Thursday through Sunday, skating rings, every.
So Jay, change my mind. Tell me music from 1990 to 1995 that I have undervalued. Tell me.
I don't think you've undervalued anything. It just was the time for the clubs. I mean, like Biggie, all that stuff, Hip Hop Array, OPP, all that stuff in the clubs. I mean, that just everything in that time, right in that little era because I was in Wichita Falls from 92 to 97, and it was just killer. We packed the club all nighters to 4 a.m. and just dropping hits, man. It was different. And I maybe I did hip hop, but back then where I was at, I could play hip hop and R&B. But then when I moved to Mississippi, you couldn't play anything R&B. It was all hip hop. And then that was the No Limit, the Cash Money era, Atlanta, New York, and it was craziness in the 90s, man. You can't stop the Cash Money in the No Limit time. And Jay-Z and man, I mean 8 Ball and MJG and all of that stuff, and Scarface and Bushwick Bill, and just hip hop to the fullest, and just all that. You know what I'm talking about, man.
So when I think of 90s hip hop, I think of 130 and above BPM Miami-based stuff. I think of
sir, that was 80s for us.
Tootsie Roll, and I think of Come on Ride the Train, and I think of stuff that came out of Luke's stuff came out of Miami.
That wasn't even hip hop to us though. That was we just call that rap. Hip hop was Biggie and all those guys, and Atlanta rap and Too Short and Master P and all of that. That was West Coast with Dre and all of them. Man, come on. No, you can't win this one. No, sir. You got too much. I mean, Dre, Snoop, all of that stuff in the the 90s,
And think of the staying power of Snoop and of Dre and of stuff like that.
It's only a few though.
It is so hard to get one song that's a hit. It takes this magic lightning in a bottle for an artist to do that. Think about Snoop and Dre have stayed relevant for 40 years.
I know. It's incredible.
They were doing a Super Bowl halftime show not long ago.
So I have to ask you this question before it loses my mind. To you, who do you think is the greatest rapper of all time?
Wow.
Okay.
You can answer too, and if you got it already, and then I'll give you mine, but it may have changed over time lately though.
This is difficult because no matter what I say, they're going to be lightning bolts coming from the left.
No. That's your opinion. I respect that.
Greatest old school rapper. So,
greatest rapper
all time. No time. It doesn't matter when.
When I hear Curtis Blow, but what's funny is guys, a rapper has delivery and cadence and
Oh yeah.
and musicality, and there's so much to it. Like Curtis Blow's original stuff was extremely musical,
Mm-hmm.
and he was part of the reason the rap became, top four. These are the breaks. If you play that even now, people will know that.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to, when again I think of beats to the rhyme, it's or sucker MCs, it's just that defined that era, and
Okay.
and I've seen Run DMC live not long ago, believe it or not, and,
Oh really?
they're still fantastic.
The Rev. So you're gonna go Run DMC? Or Curtis Blow?
I that to me, that's what's popping in my brain, just because of the way it broke the art form.
Okay.
Just because of the way it was looked at as a smaller subset of, Rapper's Delight was a top 40 song, but it didn't break as wide. But then Run DMC came and made it, with everything, including Walk This Way.
Yeah, because they didn't curse, so it kind of made it easy for them to play, and the beats were just great. I mean, they kept it. It was mainstreamable. So, and if y'all got a opinion out there, Todd and Toby, give me your opinion. So, Mike, who do you think yours? I think mine has changed, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway once I get it.
That's a very good question.
You had a lot of time to think, so can we get an answer?
Yes, in my own time.
We don't have much time. Come on.
I tell you what, I got one song to defend my choice. Go listen to Peter Piper.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not. Your choice is great. That's a great choice. But go ahead. I'm not knocking any choices.
Well, I'm going to have to go with Rakim.
Okay.
For me, he, his cadence, the way, his flow, just, he said things that made me think. Like,
yeah. Well, a lot of them do that now.
Well, no, they don't.
Not now, but I mean, a lot of rappers make me think. Not today.
I'm just saying.
That past the whatever.
Yeah, there was a lot that made you think, but he made me think.
Well, this is mine, and I always say this, and it could change now because now that I've rethought it, and he's still not as relevant, but I would say LL Cool J because of his longevity and able to transcend through each era. I mean, he really hasn't done anything now because he's acting so much, and he hasn't really hit anything, but he had quite a career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we all got different opinions. Nobody's right or wrong. That's just that would be one of mine. Here's a lot of not group ladies. Oh, they talking about songs. Definitely. Yeah, but yeah. So, and I think Run DMC, they definitely changed the game. They opened the gate for a lot of people and brought a lot of people in the gate with them, on those tours, them superstar Coca-Cola tours or whatever they were.
Well, I would say as a duel, as a team, for me, it will always be Run DMC because the way that they played off of each other, the way that they complimented each other, it was mind blowing.
That's very debatable.
He said NWA.
That's very debatable. I mean, wow, Spice won.
My ex. Oh, it's getting bad.
Mia ex, yeah. Stop. He gonna say Master P next. But
I them as a duel, they're one of my greats because I can listen to their music over and over again. I remember hearing Rock Box for the first time. When I heard that song, I fell in love with rock music.
Yeah, and one of my favorites is Whose House.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just they had so many hits, man. That just yeah. So they had a lot.
Oh yeah. You talk too much.
And if you want to talk about somebody that made you think, there's only one that made you really, really think.
Who's that?
Well, I'm a big Public Enemy fan.
Chuck was.
Yeah, I like Public Enemy as well, but Rakim did it for me. He was good. At first, John, it was Run DMC, and then when I heard him, I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the Queen might be one of the top ladies, but I don't know. That has got so crazy now. That is just crazy. So,
But I didn't answer the question that I asked you guys.
What's that?
You said it was the 90s for you. If you could dial back,
yeah,
I got to dial back to the 80s. The 90s were great, but for me, if I can dial back and just live in a moment, I'll have a bed in the 80s.
that's a good question, though, man. But
I'll have a bed in the 80s.
I just think I had came into my own as a DJ.
Oh, yes.
And
I get it.
And I really didn't start right to that crack right there, like 89. So I wasn't really in the 80s. I mean, I love music and I was going out and stuff, but not like it was in the 90s. Man.
Well, and I get it. You know, most people, around our age, John is maybe a little bit older than us.
A little bit.
They started to smell themselves in the 90s. So,
yeah.
That's when things began to be real for you guys.
Yeah.
And it's my way. I can do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But musically, no, I need a bed in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time, but I just really came into my own in the 90s. I mean, that was my high school days party, all that stuff. And for 6 years, I didn't DJ from 84 when I joined the military until I bought my stuff in Turkey. I didn't DJ, but 89 on, that was the time. I mean, I was going to the clubs and stuff, but not in control of the beat. Yep. So what did Todd say? Yeah, the 80s, I get rap and new wave. I can do that. Yeah. Yeah. But it was just different times, man. But you got to think, you had stuff coming from everywhere in the 90s. It wasn't just rap out of New York. It was rap from everywhere. You had the Miami Luke sound. You had Atlanta coming on board. You had Cali. You had Houston. You had all of that pouring in.
It was some good music.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
Nelly.
it was some good music.
Lunatics.
But if I had to, even from a hip hop standpoint, I would still take the 80s. But we're going to move on.
Yeah.
We're going to move on.
That's another little debatable.
Yeah. Hey, it's me, John, and Todd, we're in the 80s.
Okay. Well, I'll be waiting on y'all when y'all get to 1990.
I have one more question for you guys.
Okay. All right.
If you had to choose today, what would be your greatest instrumental? If you had to choose today, what would be that song? It doesn't have to be a year. What would be that song for you?
Wow.
So like if I think of either Daz or Hollywood Swingin', both of those to me are instrumentals.
Mm-hmm.
There's just not much spoken on them. And the Commodore's instrumental that I love so much, the title of it just flew out of my head, and it'll come to me in a sec.
Okay.
But So greatest instrumental, Al Nafish, The Soul by Hashim.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
See? I just hit Mike. I went ping. I mean
the instrumental by the Commodore is a machine gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, good. That's all good stuff. But I remember when I first heard Hashim and went, wait, the beat drops out, right? And I played it in a club, and my light man turned all the lights off, and everybody just kind of went like this. And then the beat goes slam, and then all the lights come on, and I'm like, oh, that's how it works. That's cool. And you could scratch into it, it's time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those that changed the course of, there are a lot of things that came after it that proved you could do a song with drops.
Yeah.
And
there's another song right around that time too, Clear of This Place.
Cybertron.
Yeah, that's another good one. But my favorite would probably be Herbie Hancock. I'm quick with mine.
Rocket.
Yeah, I love that cut, man. When it comes to instrumentals.
That's a good one.
All right. I'm waiting on Mike's choice. Come on.
At this moment, Right now, it would be Nucleus. Push the button.
Oh yeah, that's a
It's either no. I take that back. Kraftwerk, Tour de France.
yeah.
Okay.
The 12 out. I mean the 12-inch version, the extended version.
You can always get that anyway. You
And
just have
and,
to know it.
and you know what? People don't realize how much that influenced everything that came after it. How that
Oh,
that
But
you
you
know,
said you stay in your lane. You don't want to touch those.
because without Tour de France, you don't have Planet Rock.
Oh man, that's
You know, you don't.
yeah.
You know, that whole Kraftwerk album with numbers and everything
Oh, it changed everything.
was
man. I remember listening to
Well,
that.
well, and I would say this: without Kraftwerk, those songs, you wouldn't have the Ordinoids beatbox.
You're right.
God,
Oh, 100%, man.
the
Well,
dream
it's-
team is in the house.
It's so much. You wouldn't have.
Oh, man.
One of my favorites is "Fix It in the Mix" by Freestyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the
Are you familiar with that?
The only freestyle song I know is "Don't Stop the Rock." I remixed that.
It's "Fix It in the Mix." No, it might be Pretty Tony. It's either Pretty Tony or Freestyle that does "Fix It in the Mix." And it was like, oh, when I first heard the instrumental version of it, because the beat changes versus the vocal, because the vocal is just the computer, the computer talking the synthesizer, or however they talk through the
vocoder. Yep.
keyboard. But check out "Fix It in the Mix." I'll send it to you via email.
Okay.
And that one, oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. But you're right, Kraftwerk, it created so much.
Man, they were before their time, man.
Oh, so much.
Wow. That was
You could literally connect. You could hear the DNA between that and Planet Rock. And
Oh,
without
yeah.
Yes.
without Planet Rock, there is no freestyle. Planet Rock started
Oh,
because if you think about it, before Planet Rock, all the rappers, everything rhymed.
mhm.
I went to bed, laid down my head, et cetera, et cetera. If you think about the rap that's in Planet Rock, start to chase your dreams, about the street, make your body sway.
Scream, get socialized, get down.
They sung.
Let
It
your
doesn't- it
soul
doesn't
lead the
rhyme.
way.
It's
Yeah.
just,
Oh, ladies.
but it's right.
Yeah.
So it again, that's one record that just shifted everybody one way, and like,
And I think it came from Eat, Bleat, Sun, Sheet.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Each
Bleat, Sun.
ah,
What are they saying? But Kraftwerk was the bar. I love Kraftwerk.
I knew we were going to end up laughing in this thing, man. I knew it.
Man, that song there, I can listen to that song from
Uno,
beginning
dos, tres, cuatro.
to the end. Yeah.
Oh man.
That was one of my favorites. I still listen to that to this day. Sometime I call my brother because he's a huge Kraftwerk fan and just say, "Man, throw on some Kraftwerk."
Oh, I love it.
But we had a show one time we did about the greatest beats. So but I don't think we can get into it now. But there's just some song with some great beats too, man. Great beats.
I'm just saying, even looking at Planet Rock at the end when it breaks down.
Oh, PLAY.
Oh,
It's at your risk.
Oh,
if
it's
you
just
play with me.
It's so many.
PLAY.
And one of my greatest songs of all times, and I think we talked about this, is Zap. Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Grapevine. Okay. Yeah.
That song there. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to that, almost 14-minute song over and over.
And by the way, an amazing group live.
Yeah. I saw him one time. I got to see him one time before Roger passed away. There's some groups that are really good live that, you have to see them. Mm-hmm. And if you ever get a chance, try to see Charlie Wilson live, man. Charlie, oh my God. You talking about a great show. He is a performer, brother.
Mm. Well, me and my wife was talking about Charlie Wilson. He's more popular now than he was with the Gap Band.
and again, when I think of the string of successes that the Gap Band put together in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Think of Outstanding. Think
Oh.
of Burn Rubber. Think of Early in the Morning and You Dropped a Bomb on Me. They did a
Party
slow,
Train.
Put a hump in your
Party
back.
Train. Think they did a slow song called Yearning for Your Love, which
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Weekend Lover.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they were
Yeah.
that, I mean, that stuff was, and it's three guys.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not, you know, it's not this, it's wow, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's some great stuff.
Where my humpers at?
Where are the humpy people at?
Yeah.
Say it loud.
And, man, and I used to hate this song, not because it wasn't a good song,
Uh-huh.
because when they had the song "Oops Upside the Head,"
Yeah.
Somebody say oops.
I hated that song because my grandmother, when that song came on, and if I passed by,
No.
she would hit me. Oops upside the
your head.
Oh, I hated that song because every time if I was near her, I was going to get popped in my head.
So we need to make you a member of DJ Crosstalk and also of our page. We need you to send us something every time you drop a new hit or what you're dropping or what you're working on. Maybe
A link to it,
share
so
a sample
people,
of a song that you
so
dropped,
we can
maybe,
send people
maybe once
to
a
it.
month.
Well, so the platform I am currently on is Direct Music Service, and I plan on being there for the rest of my remixing career. That they've been incredibly supportive and good to me, and they're the people who also work on the platform are just ridiculously talented. So, so I'm super happy to be the guy that does the 80s and 90s while they take newer songs and make brilliant creations out of them.
Yep.
So, and yeah, I'll let you know what we're dropping. Last week, to give you an idea, last week was Donna Summer, Bad Girls with an acapella intro and an acapella outro. So again, if you had an 8-bar outro of a song, you could just drop in toot toot, beat and ride that into the song. And then it ends the same original way that it ended, which was an acapella toot toot beat outro. Circles by Atlantic Star.
Anything else by Atlantic Star you mess with? Did you mess with?
I've done all of the Atlantic Star stuff. I've done I apologize. I'm thinking of Midnight Star.
Okay.
I think that's the only Atlantic Star because Circles is just one of those.
Yeah, that's one of those too. Like Midnight Star has one too. Not slow jams, but what's that song by Midnight Star that's kind of like that same beat?
So Midnight Star's "No Parking on the Dance Floor" is I'm about to give you a ticket.
So get with it.
So get with it. You know what? As soon as I stop trying to think about it, I'll think about it.
Oh yeah, they had some more.
So
the song that you done this one? Wet My Whistle.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I need to get that one.
Yeah, that was one of your favorites.
Have you done any Prince?
Just I was just 1999 and I Want to Be Your Lover, and that's really all I'll touch with that.
Okay.
That 1999, I just gave it an 8, in the front, so it would, and it starts as originally intended. Then I gave it an 8 in the back to get out. And I Want to Be Your Lover, the sonics of that recording was it had no kick and it had no bass line, so it was just making that a little better.
Wow.
But you want to talk about a genius that still to this day resonates. That I remember listening to his snare hit and going, how does he do that? How does it make that sound? How does he do that? And I finally watched a YouTube short that said he would take the snare hit and slow it down halfway and then stack it with a regular snare hit. And that's how he got the sound. And I'm like, this guy was doing that, before it was cool to do that. He was screwing around doing that. And you know what else? Some of his songs don't have bass lines and they still work. It's
Let's see.
it's just sick.
But that's just the genius of the
Yeah.
purple one.
Oh God! And you know what? If you look at him, he was as much a rock star
Mhm.
as any rock star of that era. He was
Yeah.
as much a, guitar in his hand, strut around the stage, rock star as anybody else. Just
He
the
made
music.
it cool.
Man.
He made it cool in
Yeah.
a different way.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of long clips of him on on Facebook, man. And for some crazy reason, I stopped down and just watch his. He was a performer too, man. I didn't realize what a performer Prince was too, a dancer and
He's a performer.
I mean, I'm like, this guy's. He was incredible, man. That was one of my all-time favorites too.
I mean, you guys have both been around music long enough to know that there are guys that can perform and sound good, and then there are guys that the music just comes out of them because they're wired in a certain way, or God made them in a certain way, or something happened that music's a higher form of communication, and it just comes out. And Prince was like that.
Oh
Prince, that shit just came out, and it was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And
Todd made a good point right here. The beautiful
Yeah.
ones did need a bass line. It did
It's-
not need one.
That's how good the songs were.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
He just hit mute on the recording console and said doesn't need a bass line.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was, man, gone too soon. Him and MJ, but yeah, that was just greatness, man. But brother, we're gonna respect your time. We don't know if dinner's on the table or whatever, but we probably could talk 2 hours to you, but we enjoy. We can't wait to see you in Atlantic City in a couple.
Todd to be Todd to be there too. And just a little reminder, Todd, we agreed that we're taking the onesies and we're wearing them on the second night. So
I don't know what you're talking.
yeah,
about.
you know what I'm talking about.
No, we had somebody send us some onesies, and we have to wear them to a party at a DJ conference.
Yeah.
one night.
So Todd, yes. So and your wife has spoken. It's time for you to go home. That's what that sign means right there.
Guys, I appreciate you both allowing me
But we got to talk
privilege
to
of
Warren
talking about my favorite stuff, which is music.
We got to talk to War and Peace.
Yes.
We'll get you guys hooked up.
Have you? And I'm sorry. One more question. Have you done any Whitney?
Say it again.
Have you messed with any Whitney?
No. And again, I've done some personal use stuff that is like I want to dance with somebody. I've done that with an 8 in and 8 out. But again, her stuff it stands on its own in a way that
you don't have to explain it. I got it now. You want to give us a useful tool, but
and
it does need an 8 in and an 8 out.
Just, dude, can you remember the first time you heard "Saving All My Love" and went like, "Wow"?
Yeah.
Like the voice just like it had this glass clarity to it.
Yeah.
That there's another person that was given a gift that was just
Oh my God.
amazing.
Oh, amazing. Anybody who can make you cry on the Star Spangled Banner or give you chill on the Star Spangled Banner is a different type of talent.
Oh yes.
And that's Whitney.
Yes, Whitney. Whitney.
We didn't do onesies in Vegas because I was hanging out with Oh wow. Okay. He was at, and you know what? We've never been invited to the DMS party.
I will take care of that this time, guys. In January in Vegas, you guys will both be in the backyard at the DMS house, and you want stories.
We will be there.
All right, good.
Consider yourself invited, guys. Thank you kindly for allowing me to come on and do what I love to do.
Jumping on with us, man, and we can't wait to see you in Atlantic City.
Yes. So you have a good one. Tell the missus thank you for allowing you to do something outside of the studio.
Yeah.
Good deal. Continued success, guys. Thank you.
Craft work. All right. Peace.
Mm-hmm.